This is Derek Moneyberg, MMA's latest scam artist.
If you don't have hostility in your heart and be like, fuck this, I'm gonna do better. If you don't feel that way, you're probably not gonna do better.
Whether it's earning a BJJ black belt in record time, promoting his grindset empire, or flexing his luxury seminars, everything about this guy screams BS.
People are just freaked out saying it's fake, he bought his belt. The thing is, he's good.
Behind all the motivational talk and fighter connections, the cracks in his story are starting to show, and the MMA world is calling him out for it. Before the black belt, the fighters, and the gym appearances, Derek Moneyberg was simply Ben Jing, a business coach rebranding himself into something bigger. He wanted to build an image of someone who had it all.
When you find somebody who's 35 and they have accomplishments similar to an 18 or 19-year-old, nobody's talking to them. I'm not talking to them at all. It's filtered out immediately. It's like, you're 35 and what have you been up to? Nothing? You good at video games? Okay, sweet.
His Moneyberg mentoring brand promised transformation. People who paid thousands of dollars would supposedly learn business in its core. But Derek didn't settle with just teaching business, he also performed it. From day one, his brand leaned into alpha energy with expensive suits, watches, power poses, and luxury backdrops.
Derek really inspired me to learn about the stock market, and I did. And now I have like a long-term portfolio and an option trading portfolio. I learned how to trade options from the time of the start of mentorship to now.
Every seminar reinforced the idea that success comes from total domination and not collaboration. It was both aggressive and polarizing, and in a culture obsessed with grindset entrepreneurs, Derek found his lane.
What are the people whose lives that, it's not that I was, envious or jealous of those people. I guess envious in a positive way. I wasn't jealous like, fuck that guy because he's got something I don't or something, but envious in the sense of like, I want some of that shit, That I looked at that as like some elements of other people's lives that I would like to emulate, that I would like to have for myself.
By 2020, he'd built a following online, attracting young men who saw him as a mix between a business coach and a drill sergeant. His mantra is to work harder, want more, and never settle.
If you put in the work and you made the effort, you were supposed to win. Meanwhile, the person that didn't want to work as hard is have less opportunities.
And while many saw him as inspiring, others felt it was all show, with more lifestyle marketing than leadership. To keep building authority, Derek started branching out into spaces where toughness mattered with gyms, fight camps, and martial arts academies.
I love this bag, man. This is like 200-pound bag, custom bag. I get to drop some elbows and some serious kicks on this thing. Yeah. And if you knew how many, I kicked this thing thousands of times, like 7,000, 8,000 times. In my sleep, I give it a decent kick that throw a normal man's feet right out from under him and drop him on his head or hip as may be.
Sure, you got your face on here, right?
Yeah, of course. Don't everybody have their face on their custom made?
Soon, he was filming podcasts with MMA athletes, hosting seminars at gyms, and referencing martial arts philosophy like discipline, hierarchy, and respect. It wasn't random. In a sport obsessed with toughness and hierarchy, he found the perfect setting to make his act believable. And the more he blended business with BJJ, the more people believed it. No doubt, Derek's entry into the martial arts scene helped his brand explode. He became known not just as a wealth coach, but a fighter of sorts with someone who preached winning in both business and life. But the problem came when he blurred the line between marketing and mastery. Because when you build a persona on toughness, the smallest cracks in authenticity become impossible to ignore. And that's exactly what happened next when Derek Moneyberg claimed a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu after just 3 years of training. A milestone that normally takes a decade, suddenly appearing in a viral ceremony without a clear lineage or competition record. It didn't take long before that belt, meant to symbolize mastery, turned into the most controversial part of his career.
What up, guys? So earlier this week, the BJJ community was abuzz with this story about this internet guru fella getting his black belt in 3.5 years, joining the likes of people like BJ Penn, actually beating Gordon Ryan by a bit, who took 5 years to get his black belt. The guy's name is Derek Moneyberg.
But I'm sure BJJ fans remember when Derek Moneyberg suddenly claimed the statement that shook the community. In Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, that kind of timeline is almost unheard of. Most practitioners spend close to a decade grinding on the mats before ever touching a black belt.
There are so many people in this game who break down and cry when they get their black belt because of the struggle, because of the injuries, because of the sacrifice it takes to get to it. And to give a guy a black belt in 3.5 years because he paid for it, it has to, because I've seen some of his footage. It's not black belt level.
So when Derek made the announcement, the reaction was pure disbelief. Fans started comparing clips, noticing that not long ago he was still wearing a blue belt. There weren't any tournament results, no competition footage, and no clear lineage showing who promoted him. It didn't take long before questions started flooding in. Was this a legitimate promotion or a business move? Because around the same time, Derek began appearing in gyms alongside famous fighters, filming seminars, and running high-priced mentorships. People started assuming that the belt was bought and not earned.
This isn't just about one art anymore. This is about buying credibility in the martial arts community.
The optics only got worse when clips surfaced of him talking about dominance, power, and submission in all areas of life. It made the entire promotion look more like a marketing stunt than a martial arts achievement. Now, we're not here to debate whether Derek Moneyberg truly earned his black belt or not, but instead his reaction to the criticism. Generally, Derek portrays himself as disciplined, focused, and in control, but for some reason, when questioned, he seems to lose all composure. He would sometimes snap back at podcasts, get defensive, and talk down to anyone who doubts his credentials.
And again, I don't mean to insult him excessively, but you know, to cut through the shit and get to the meat of that is like, from that type of upbringing that both of us had, him and I, you know, it might be difficult for him to understand, like, well, how the fuck did this guy do that so fast?
Some viewers believe he's simply protecting his image, others think it's insecurity bleeding through, and he's more worried about the status than skill. No one knows the full story behind the black belt, but we do know he hates being doubted. And this defensive streak would only grow stronger. After this, he began taking shots at critics, challenging other coaches, and calling out fighters who'd never even mentioned him, turning a questionable belt into a full-blown branding war. After Derek Moneyberg's black belt announcement, the skepticism quickly spread beyond just the fans as it caught the attention of actual fighters.
When I hear a guy gets his black belt in under 10 years, who's not like a competition jiu-jitsu practitioner, it usually, my jiu-jitsu spidey sense go, what's going on here? Either he's a complete freak.
And in combat sports, when real fighters start questioning your credentials, things get serious fast. Now, normally athletes might ignore a guy like Derek, especially someone more known for his motivational speeches than his competition record. But Derek started firing back, and that's when clips began surfacing of UFC fighters openly laughing at the situation, calling him a celebrity with a belt rather than a real martial artist.
But so this guy, you know, gets his black belt in 3.5 years, and he takes this picture with, you know, a bunch of different guys, a bunch of highly respected and skilled athletes, and the internet was going crazy. Right now, there's some people that are kind of like me, like, don't care, right? You know, for me, this is like just another celebrity black belt.
But one of the loudest voices came from Sean Strickland. During a viral face-to-face moment, Sean straight up called him a scumbag and accused him of disrespecting the sport.
Look who I ran into. This guy's real big, real jacked. And he says, why do I call him a scumbag on the internet? This is why I asked. And again, you could say...
So you got to do that for camera. You can't have a private conversation like an adult. You can only do things for the internet. You can't have a private
because
conversation.
What I have to say is factual, and you guys...
It's not factual.
The entire exchange was heated, but what made it sting more was that Sean's reaction represented how a lot of fighters felt that Derek hadn't earned his place.
When I just asked you, hey, have a conversation...
Well, you asked me why I called you a scumbag.
Then you need to have your camera. You can only talk on the internet.
But I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I called you a scumbag.
Only on the internet.
But I'll tell you why I called you a scumbag.
You're the one being the fucking scumbag.
And instead of taming the situation down, Derek leaned into it, doubling down that he'd worked harder, trained longer, and sacrificed more than his critics ever would.
There's 119 people ever, male and female, in the past 32 years that got a UFC belt, and he's one of them. So congratulations, Sean, and good work. But you know, from my perspective, it's like, yeah, well, I found the best damn coaches. I did the same thing that I did in every other area of my life. Is I thought, well, if you're okay with your current circumstances, you're going to stay there. And if you want to have exceptional circumstances, and you have to engage in exceptional behaviors.
He even went as far as taking legal action against Sean for what he said.
Due to Sean Strickland spreading malicious lies about him, that he is going to be involving litigation upon Sean Strickland suing him.
It's not the first time someone's defended their achievements, but the way he did it, aggressively, defensively, and with a chip on his shoulder, made him look less like a calm mentor and more like a man under fire. A few days later, the topic even reached the MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani, where the team broke down his claims, pointing out missing footage, unclear lineage, and how no respected coaches had come forward to verify the promotion.
Oh, really?
Moneyberg is a topic of conversation.
And what do most people say?
That he's a fraud, like the obvious, that he's a fraud who's paying people to grant him this status, and that people are. It's a wink thing. Everybody's just kind of like It's like. To his credit, Sean Strickland laid it out perfectly.
So now, instead of earning more respect, he'd alienated a large chunk of the MMA and BJJ community and built a reputation as someone trying to buy credibility rather than earn it. But while many fighters called him out, a few notable names surprisingly came to his defense, and that only made the story more complicated.
And then I went to some of their locations and trained with them too.
Gilbert Burns helped you out a lot too.
Gilbert was amazing.
He was amazing, yeah.
Frank Mir helped a lot.
Frank Mir, yeah, that's a ton more.
The story goes that after Derek Moneyberg was called out by multiple fighters, a few big names in the BJJ and MMA world actually stepped in to defend him. One of the most surprising was Jake Shields, a former UFC title contender and longtime black belt. Jake claimed Derek's promotion wasn't as shady as people were making it out to be, and that critics were just bitter about his success.
People are just freaked out saying it's fake, he bought his belt. The thing is, he's good. He got it really quick, but every week he brings a different top fighter or jiu-jitsu guy to his house and has hours of privates. So like, do you think you're not going to get a lot better? He has me over there, Gordon Ryan, Mikey Musumeci, Gilbert Burns, Lyoto Moshida. He's got like 30 guys he brings through.
The comments didn't exactly calm the storm though. If anything, they split the martial arts community straight down the middle. On one side, you had those who agreed saying it doesn't matter how long it took, a black belt is about mindset, not time spent. And on the other, you had purists who've trained for a decade or more, furious that someone could bypass the traditional path and still wear the same belt, with people like Jake handing it over in exchange for a handsome amount of cash.
Jake Shields has probably been paid some disgusting amount of money to defend his black belt to Derek Moneyberg.
Even after the dust settled, Derek refused to back down. He kept posting clips, flaunting his belt, giving speeches about being built different, and firing shots at anyone who questioned him. It immediately turned a lot of traditional martial artists against him. But even outside the sport, fans started looking at him differently, as someone more obsessed with status than skill. And while Derek kept doubling down, calling everyone jealous or weak, his credibility in the combat sports world took a serious hit, while Jake tries to help him bring his credibility back.
But people still won't put up with disrespect, the people you're with. And that's why I got, probably shouldn't be too public with, but Sean Strickland was the only guy, never met you, mouthing off about it. You really pissed me off, because like, look at all the fighters vouching for you, me and Gordon Ryan. You say, thinking we would fucking do that for money? So we got in a little bit of argument. I think we're cool. Hopefully you guys will meet and be friends one day, because I think it's just, from his perspective, I understand why you look like a scam. You see a rich guy, got his belt so quick, but it seemed a little insulting to me to say like all these top fighters would hang out with you and be around you for money.
He's fought critics online, argued with interviewers, and even fired back at media outlets trying to fact-check his story. Despite the polished image, flashy suits, and motivational talk, this defensive attitude is hard for real martial artists to respect. If Derek Moneyberg really wants to stay in this space, his best bet might be leaning fully into being the villain, embracing the hate, and building a brand around the controversy. Because after all, this isn't a business about earning everyone's respect. It's about keeping people watching, whether they love you or love to hate you. And maybe that's just about how it goes for Derek Moneyberg. Thanks for watching, and if you aren't subbed yet, go hit the button, because we release videos just like this every single week.